Ciao everyone, welcome to the OnDesign podcast. Here we speak with designers, educators, and creative leaders to understand their work, their thinking, and the path that formed them. This special series is brought to you by Niwwrd, an online platform about documenting automotive, industrial, and future design culture. OnDesign podcast is proudly sponsored by IAD, Istituto Arte Applicata and Design. IAD was born in 1976 as the first car design course in Italy. And we are also powered by Door Design, the multidisciplinary studio behind the transportation, product, and communication design projects across Europe and beyond. I'm your host, Dario Olivero, and I'm the founder and design director of Door Design. And here at IAD, I'm the coordinator of the transportation design department. Today, we are joined by Cosimo Amadei, a very good friend of mine, and Rafael Piccoli, a student from the master course. Well, welcome guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us here during the first episode. And well, Cosimo, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Ciao Dario, and ciao everyone. So, old friend, met him in Turin 23 years ago by now. That says how old we are.
Damn.
So I'm Cosimo Amadei. I'm a design director for MAD, which is Mahindra Advanced Design Europe. And it's a fairly new design studio. As I was saying, it's an advanced design, but we do also production all the way through from the first sketch to the production car on the road, following up all the process from the first sketch and piece of paper to the last part of the sheet metal body that gets stamped and create the production car. My background is automotive design. I've been studying here in this school, which was not in the same location at the time, 24 years back. In between, I've been working a little bit in Honda, Milan design studio. After that, I went to Chang'an and I moved into Mahindra, which is my new house now, where we created this design studio from the scratch in 2020, end of 2021. And now it's a 70 people design studio. And I'm directing the whole operations and the design and the creative side of it.
Cool. Cosimo, thank you. Thank you very much. What we are doing here actually is to give the opportunity to our students, to our community to learn more about being a car designer, and having you here as design director give us a lot of opportunity learning more about the field. In fact, Rafael, I would like you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit of your story, and then we can start asking whatever we want to Cosimo to understand a little bit more from the industry.
Of course, yeah, let's do it. Ciao Dario, ciao Cosmo. It's a pleasure it's an honor to be here. My Italian I'm still picking up my Italian, sto parlando l'italiano.
I'm still learning English, don't worry.
Grazie. So my resume is a bit shorter than Cosmo's. My background is product design. And I'm from Brazil originally, and then went to Canada to live there for a few years, for 10 years more or so. And I've always wanted to do transportation design, so it's been a passion of mine. So at the time, I had a friend, Daniele. I chatted with him. He said, Raf, why don't you, there's a school in Torino, this transportation design. This is right what I wanted to do. So I did some digging, and I met Dario. Dario explained a little bit about the program, and I just fell right in love with it. So that's how I kind of here. And so far I'm excited. It's been great so far. It's been short. I've been the preliminaries, so been a month or so. But so far it's been awesome, and I can't wait to learn more from you guys. So that's what I'm here for.
Cool. Actually, more from people like Cosimo. But no, well, in fact, we would like to know more out of your experience. And the first question is about having, when we were students, we had an idea about the industry. Then you step into the industry, you enter into the automotive design, and you feel that something is different. So how did you imagine the role of a designer to be?
So, well, I mean, my background probably not very similarly from Rafael was I'm coming from art. I studied art, where it was everything about, hand painting and sculpture and all of that. But I've been growing in a petrol head family. So my father was taking me to watch some more rally championships with his car. He got a Peugeot 205 GTI. Lovely. What color? Was a gray one. Of course, with, some modifications. Was amazing, right? So I grown up in this environment full of cars and motorbikes. My father was owning BSA, which is now an Indian brand, by the way, owned by part of another Indian manufacturer. But at that time was the dream of a child, right? You're getting on these cars and then you're getting on this motorbike. I was living in the countryside, so driving only these dirt bikes. So I'm a petrol head. And even if I was coming from art, then I developed into architecture, where I did 1 year. But I remember I was sketching cars all day long while I was there. Architecture was great, I was doing well, but I was just sketching cars, sketching motorbikes, and I didn't know even how to do, you know what I mean? So then I really realized that there was a school, which was the IAAD, was the only one at the time, pretty much. And I came here to study. But going back to your question, Dario, you think of a designer as somebody which, because you design a car, you would drive a car, right? So you'll get an amazing car, which will be free to you, and you will driving around it with a cool guy, spending more the time talking about fashion, talking about lines, talking about art. And actually, I really realized it's not exactly like that. And it's a very different industry from the art industry. So, yeah, that's when I realized that.
Maybe-
I was thinking it would have been like that, my future, driving on this sports car around and designing car that you would drive and the business would give it free to you. And you're almost the cool guy, right?
Probably the first clash is the fact that we are creative people, but then you step into a design studio that is about industry, spreadsheets, and investment, and you have to stick to plan.
A bit more technical.
Yeah, so maybe this is something that is not clear in the beginning when you're studying, but then this is something that it's pretty visible since day one, probably. But in fact, was there a moment that you realized design was less about personal ideas and more about responsibility towards people, teams, products, time management, budget?
Well, I mean, definitely it was in Shanghai. We're talking about now probably 20 years ago, where I started working on the first production car, right? And then I think when you are young, you will join a design studio and will be more about what can you create, how much volume, quality of what you can create. So your focus is on delivering beautiful pieces of designs, nice sketches, nice ideas, and I'm sure you'll do well. But then you realize you have to put the car in production, right?
So that's the more technical. Yeah, that's the more like
It's a different board, so
not emotional side.
no, yeah. And I remember at the time we were working a lot was not clay modeling, was hard modeling. You know that in Italy you do hard models. And I remember these guys, you're responsible for 4 or 5 people, which are stepping on this car, working during the summer with warm temperature. You had to let them move the line the least the possible to achieve something that looks good. The guys are tired, but they work with you. They don't work for you. If you think they work for you, it's where it goes wrong. Because you think, I'm going there, I'm the superstar, I'm putting the tapes wherever I want, and you guys move it. You realize you work together for something that will be stunning.
Right.
So, and then you create a team. That was the beginning for me, the hard modeling. And straight after, all the development, when you involve all the other disciplines, like, digital modeling, A-class surfaces, your team, when you grow into a lead role. So that's really for me when I realized that it's not about me, it's about us. And that was probably, as I said, 20 years ago in China.
But in fact, something that we are facing with you as well, that we want to promote and teach, that is a teamwork. The creativity, it starts with a solitary act, but then at some point it's the team that brings everything to life. And so you could face this situation in a very early stage of your career, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, don't forget that when you study, you see your teacher as something impossible to achieve.
Yeah.
And then actually you enter in the design industry and you find the same teacher as your colleague. So that already created a strange feeling in you. You think like, okay, how do I collaborate with somebody that taught me how to design a car?
Yeah.
And now I'm here and I'm working same level with him. So that is when you really start changing the way you communicate. Everything starts from always good design, but you need to be a good person. And I think this is even more important in the industry of today. I think we are still a little bit of a breach between the old generation of designers and the new generation of designers, Dario.
Definitely.
I still remember the design directors at that time, talking 20 years back, coming in the studio only when he wanted, putting a couple of tapes, you guys change everything, and going away. So these days are gone. And I don't think they will come back. Because what the OEMs want, OEMs for some of you don't know, are the car manufacturers, are products which are sellable, are good quality, are good design, and the times are becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. So you need to work as a team to succeed. So the design director in these days, the way I see it, and that's what I do every day, is a person that put people together, sharing ideas, and working to create something special, not only as a product, but as a moment that will stay in your memories when you will be older. And the people will remember good times, good memories, something which is creating a nice experience and a good design.
Talking about this kind of team working, at what point do ideas stop belonging to one person and become something shared?
So, well, I mean, I think it's not very dissimilar from what we were used to do. Each one is coming, sticking a nice sketch, which now is digital, of course, on a wall, but I still encourage the people sometimes to print it out and leave it there on the table. I don't want you don't to own the sketch there.
No.
I think it's good that the other designers walk around and say, wow, that's interesting. How can I make it better? Or what can I take from this idea and make it better? So I never liked when designers, and to be honest, we don't have any like that, but I experienced it, where designers own an idea and it's hiding it from the rest of the team.
Not sharing.
Because then it's like, what's the point? Then you can stay at home by yourself and do your own design, right? We are in a design studio, so you share it. You're sticking on the wall, but still anyway, you go there, you select one thing. So it could be that is one thing. Right? You got the front, side view, rear view, and now anyway, most of these are blenders, so compact cars. In that case, I don't like to do the one we call the Frankenstein, so the mix and match of poison part. If one design is good, we take it as is and we develop it.
Great.
But it could be very often that you have a very strong front view or a very nice graphic of a lamp, which is very strong and the proportions are not great, but there is another theme where the volumes are good. So you combine this stuff. And that's anyway, I think this moment you share with other people is not anymore your design. It's the design that comes from you, but it's for the team to explore and to work together.
It's kind of team is unfolding the proposal, the design.
And then this is one thing that can happen when just simply is a great design from one individual, which will develop it all the way through to production with the support of people with more experience. Because again, most often is a junior design sketch.
Yeah.
The junior design sketch sometimes would struggle to take the car in production with all the limitations that you would face, with all the interfaces with engineers. So you would be support by the assistant chief or a chief or design lead. So that's when you share it and you go all the way to production like that. But there are cases where your creative idea is so good, but you actually really are not the type of person that can put the car in production because you are just a creative mind.
Yeah.
So you take it to a stage, you drop it there because you are an advanced designer and it would be a waste of time about using your talent to create a vision for the future of the brand.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And get developed by a production designer. So that is again sharing of an idea from one individual to the team.
Okay, so you'd say that when you started, you learn design, but then you also learn how to work with people, right? It's a double-edged sword, right?
Rafael, I think when you're becoming a real designer, it is when you will start understanding how a car is done.
Nice.
I would probably ask you now, can you maybe a section of that specific area of the design? You would not even know about of any section, but No, as soon as you learn that is when you really integrate your idea with something that can be produced.
Okay.
And I love it. It's my favorite part. You really dig down every single section, how you can gain any possible milliliter to make a section of a fender bats fly. And I'm sure you will experience that at one point in your career. And it's great.
Yep, it's a mix of you're doing, sometimes you're thrown, right? Sometimes you're doing it very technical, and sometimes you have to deal with the emotional,
Right.
send for the sword, right? Correct. So even you, Dario, I mean, you worked with having our own studio. How does it work with because you have to do the business part of it as well, right? So it's like is it different, or is it kind of the same? You guys are in the same.
No, well, I wasn't ready actually, but I can tell you from my point of view, when I was a student, I really wanted to improve my skills, my drawing skills. I wanted to do cool drawing. But the background of my family the background I took from my family that I wanted to create in business, design-driven business. So at the beginning, I really had to perform as a designer, but also taking care about the business. So numbers, budget, hiring, finding out the studio, the spots to build up the studio. So I really wanted to put myself in facing the constraints. It's the same from different point of view. If we are talking about constraints, my idea was to build up a business and make the business running. So hiring designers, even better than me, in order to deliver.
Okay.
But getting back to the creativity and constraints, I had one question to Cosimo, because I could learn very early that creativity without any constraints and without any time frame and budget, it's just art.
Right.
That we love art, but of course, being a designer is being able to develop something that can be produced millions of times with the same quality, a reliable product, sticking to a budget. So the designers and engineers are often seen as opposing forces. Can you, Cosimo, recall a specific disagreement over a few millimeters or a roof line or wheel arch, a surface where technical limits pushed you towards a better solution than the original design?
Yeah, well, pretty much all my life. I could give you an example for the next 6 hours. No, what I'm trying to say is that if you don't face a challenge, you are not a designer. And I have plenty of examples. I can tell you once where we were designing this electric car and we wanted to be as small as possible, the opening in the front face of the car. And the radiator was a normal, conventional, huge radiator. And it was like, no way. I mean, and you challenge back till where you find something which is feasible. You get every millimeter to reduce the opening, but you have to also be capable to drop your idea. If your idea was a no-glue face, and unfortunately with the budget available and the price point of the product, it's not make it totally unfeasible. You have to also give up from your end and find a way of communication with engineering. And I think I've been lucky enough in my career to work with some very good studio engineers. Probably the best one I've been working with, well, the best one is the one working with me now. But when I really learned a lot was in 3DX, which was Tata Motor Satellite Studio in Turin, where I was head of design. And one of the two owners of the business was a studio engineer. He was it was an amazing engineer. And I remember the way he was talking to us, the way I was pushing back, the way he was trying to find a solution. So that's where I really learned a lot how to work with engineering. And I realized that without a good studio engineer, so a studio engineer for you, Rafa, are the ones which are sit between you as a design team and the engineers which would be in India or in China or whatever would be the big business. We talk about, in this case, in Mahindra, there are around 4,000 to 5,000 engineers working with us. And my team is, my team is 50 people. So it's like, to give you the proportion, right? So that person in between is a studio engineer. And as soon as I started MADE, I realized that a very good studio engineer was needed. Has been the most difficult one to find because there are not many of these guys.
Was it a lot of was it a lot of mix and match to find? You had to sort right there, or it's kind of just
No, and either to get one as a senior is always difficult, but you cannot try and find. It happened that because a couple of people which were not a product for our business, but that one which would employ the other was the first studio engineer. He had this really right because if you have a good boss, all the other below will be good, right? Because you meet a people like he, good as he.
okay.
And I got this guy, which is fantastic, and he's really helping us to deliver the car. But I also know how to challenge. I know how a door is done. I know how a front beam is done. I know how you could, reduce the section over a take it to facilitate the second or third row experience based on if it's a 5-seater or a 7-seater. So it's always both way. You have to be a good designer, know how to talk to people, and you need to create a team. Going back to your point, you need to work as a team. It's not a competition.
Probably you had the chance also to learn a new language, how to speak the same subject of an engineer, and understanding how to transfer an idea to get the idea accepted in order to evolve it. Because otherwise, sometimes we do speak two different languages, and it seems that there is a clash. But actually, the magic happens probably when we both, designers and engineers, speak the same language in order to achieve something that.
Well, you said that you at one point you also mentioned that sometimes you have to say, you have an idea, you want to do something, but you have to reject.
You have to give up sometimes.
And how did you deal with that thing? Because I think as a students we struggle so much with, want to do something, and then, somebody comes and says, no, you can't do it like that, or it doesn't work like that, or sometimes it just won't work. So how did you deal with that ego at first, right? Because it becomes very emotional.
So dealing with ego, you will learn, is a step-by-step process.
Okay.
And as I said before, the big ego times, in my view, in at least automotive designs are gone. So you have always to be working with a friend.
Okay.
So then you find a way of communicating. But forget about the ego. What I was doing when I was young was always see the cars that are there.
Right.
So if you are proposing something and maybe it will be too expensive, but at least it's feasible. Let me say you want a very low car to the ground and you want a good relationship of body to wheels, which is quite key when you start designing the car. And yours is a cheap car, but that is achievable with, a nice Citroen or a nice Peugeot. You can say, well, I know that it's expensive, but Citroen is doing already 18-inch tires on this body relationship. So we can do it. We can do it as well. Why not? And then you will start the conversation, but at least you have a reference. You don't go like, I like it like that, do it like that.
I guess that's the struggle.
I like it, but I know it's visible. I know that show cars are doing it, which means that potentially these brands will come in production with those proportions, and we should be ahead of the cart. That's the way I'm always pushing the boundaries. Don't look only what is here today, but what is coming, because it gives you a direction of what could come. And that's a very good way of challenging back engineering. Try to see, look guys, we cannot be behind. We would be less behind if we don't do what is right for the brand.
I see.
And this is feasible. It's not only me.
It's you see why like that's so cool.
In fact, I'm curious to know, because here it's a matter of leadership, but also ego. And of course, let's be honest, when we were students, we were dreaming of designing the next supercar to see it running on the streets. This is something that we still installed in ourselves, right? But as a design leader, as a design director, how do you lead a design team without imposing your personal taste, but also what does leadership looks like daily? How do you get decision? Maybe sometimes you need to come with compromise. Maybe you need to give a more blank paper, more space to your designers. How does it work daily?
So let me tell you, Dario, I think to your question about taste, your own taste, I think when you become a design director, a big part of your job is make sure that your taste will reflect both the brand want. So in a way, you have to follow your instinct. So, and I think it's all about taste when you reach our point, and you need to have enough taste to understand a Ferrari, but also a Jeep Hummer. And there are two different design language, but there's no right or wrong. You need to understand how right would be a Nissan Juke, especially the first generation.
Yeah.
For Nissan, even if it's busy and is definitely totally new design language, you like it or not, you need to have the taste to understand that that product has some strengths. And you need to understand that, and you need to understand also Range Rover Velar, which is super simple and clean. And that's not right or wrong, right? So it's all about taste, in my view, in understanding what you think is right. And you have to have you have to be bold enough to be not imposing, but also to say, I think that look better. And the question is, why? You can give a lot of explanation. We are designers at the end, so you can talk for hours, but you have to follow your instinct.
If you feel it, you feel it.
Feel it, you see it, and you think, okay, that is right, and this look good for this product, for this brand, it's not looking good, full stop. And when people, I'm going back there, and then think I'm not going to say who this person was. He was only talking about beauty. Oh, it's all about beauty. That's your perception of beauty. It doesn't mean that my perception of beauty is the same, and his perception of beauty is the same. But you need to understand that that can stand as a product in the market today for the brand that you are designing for. There's no right or wrong. There's not beauty, you know?
Yeah, maybe you know, very at some point you understand the brand, the vision, you build it up, so you go with the flow, and you feel that that proposal, that design is the next big thing. It is gonna be working for sure. But how do you? This is a question that I'm really curious to know. How do you justify? How do you go to the owner of the company, to the president, and say, this is the right choice? Because if it's not science, it's your gut feeling, it's your understanding, is your 20 plus years of experience, and you say, this is the next big thing. We should invest millions and millions on this proposal. How do you do that?
That's a difficult question. I think basically you're asking two questions. How do you think that something is right?
Yeah.
And how do you convince your CEO or CTO to invest
Correct.
money into the product? So to the first question, you feel is right, but you can never be sure. And I think as designers, we need to be supported by a business which allow you to fail. That's what I do every day with my designers as well. It's like, I allow you to fail, because if you don't do mistake, you will never really push the boundaries.
Yeah.
And that's the same when you design a product. You know, you design a product, you think you know the customer to begin with. That's very important. If you don't understand the customer that would buy that car, you're not a designer. And you have to design for that customer. But long story short, you don't have the perfect recipe. You follow again your instinct. You know the customer, you know the brand you're designing for, and you push it through. And you have to believe in it. If you don't believe as the first one, there's no way you will convince anybody. Going to your second question. Your second question is, first of all, the days of the PowerPoints are over. The days of that, I don't think, at least the way I'm working, and I've been working in the last 10 years, going there and speaking 3 hours about a line and how the line flow, etc., and the beauty of that bonnet, nobody cares. You have to sell a dream, you have to sell a product. So we would do a movie to begin with, which will talk about the person, which talk about the emotions that would buy into the buyer of that product, and to buy your boss into the design that you're proposing. And then you come to so there is an answer. This is where the market gives us an opportunity to come. This is how we think we can fulfill and the customer that we want to buy our product. This is the answer. The answer is this design. And the design is in holistic sense. It's not the styling. Yep. You can still see, especially in, I'm not going to say it again, people talking about style. It's not the way that you will convince it's over. It's not the way you will convince your chairman or whoever to invest into that, as you said, billions to the local car.
So now it's mostly, you said you put together this whole like package, right? Yeah, and more in the, you said films?
Yeah, so usually
you rate it, usually like a trailer for the car, right? For the,
correct.
Yeah.
Usually we start showing what the market look like and when there is where there is an opportunity. I strongly believe that doing the Me Too products are gone. So you know that the old days, we experienced the same, I'm sure, Volkswagen Golf was selling huge number. So because that sell, we need to do something similar to sell as well. No, because that market is already taken by that product. You can try to replace it potentially, but why not looking where there's nobody wide? There is a white space. We call it white space. So you do that. We call it the white space presentation, when possible, of course. Then you show the customer in this video. So who's the customer that would buy into that white space product? And then you design the car, which needs to look good. Don't get me wrong. The car needs to be looking good. It needs to be ahead of its time. Sometimes need to create a reaction of uncomfort from them, because if makes them too comfort means it's already old potentially. And then you have your special rest. So then you can promise the trip pass.
So you're risking that people might not like it. It comes out, people are into it, and after a few years,
Or even after maybe so just after a few weeks, after a few months, they see again and they see again. There is that specific product that is always like, wow, we want it.
Yeah, right.
Wow, we want it. That's great. We understood why you want it. It's looking amazing, and let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay.
And Mahindra is very much like that. I'm very lucky to work for that. They really allow people to fail and succeed, and that's brilliant.
Talking about Mahindra, of course, we talk about India. It seems to me that Italian culture, Indian culture has a lot of things in common. By working with you and Pratap, your team, and also my personal experience with my team members and students that we had here, it seems that we share a lot of things. Do you think that, let's say, being an Italian designer, Italian leader into an Indian company, where do we share a lot of common, habits, it can be helpful to understand the market?
100%. 100%. I think I'm working now with India and with Indians since 13 years. Wow. And I love it every day. I know India very well. So I know it from the north to the south. It's a big country. So you cannot generalize like, Italy is a small country. And even in Italy, right, from north to south, there are very, very different type of food, different type of people. You listen different type of music, different type of architecture. India is by 10 times.
By 10.
Yeah, it's huge.
But what you are telling us, it's about not only the design, the product, but also that the storytelling behind the product, that before we were saying is no the days of styling, it's over, because it's a more holistic approach. Even with our students, we are teaching many subjects that 20 years ago they were not there, like marketing, 3D modeling, visualization, renderings, storytelling. So how much is important, based on the Italian and Indian culture, to arrive to design a nice storytelling?
I think it is the most important thing, to make sure that the storytelling is correct and is honest. It's not just fugazi. It's not just fugazi. They need to do, I've done that, and you. So that's what happens very often, by the way, especially when you're young. You do your design, and then you create the storytelling based on your design. Yeah. That you want to sell it. That is fugazi for me. You need to understand exactly who you're designing for and what you want to design. And then you start sketching. Don't start the other way around. It's never working, and it's never going to work.
Yeah, this is something that we are promoting in our classes as well. Do not rush starting. It sounds weird. Do not rush sketching till the moment at least you have to know your scenario and the persona in your scenario, because otherwise it's art that it's promoted. Of course, it's in our name in the university, but you should be having a much wider understanding of the scenario you are designing.
I can reassure you is working, because in class we were reminded with that every day. Read that.
No, but I'm glad it's happening, because, to be honest, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, we started studying. It was all about the skills on paper. So markers, pencils, Photoshop, but was all about designing cool drawings. Right. That was fulfilling us. We were looking for it, but was 20 plus years ago. Today, it's much bigger what you have to come up with in terms of idea, execution, storytelling. marketing, positioning, and so on.
And there's so many ways you can do it now as well, right? We learned from digital now to paper, so it's such a
Yeah,
such a wide spectrum.
I was going to go there actually. I think, Dario, having good manual skills is still important because push your boundaries.
yeah,
And you understand, going back to what I was saying before, only after doing and failing, you know how to make better. So that's important anyway. But these days with AI, you can come out with an amazing rendering anyway. So if the story is not there, what are you really asking at the table? What are you bringing at the table?
But in fact, what we believe is that you have to fail. You have to fail quick. How is the fastest way? With a sketch on paper, because you don't have to think about the prompt or the right brush and Photoshop. No, it can be a digital sketch. It can be a sketch with a ball paint on paper. But you have to fail quick. So the fastest ideation, and that's something that I personally really appreciate, are the sketches. Sketching, doodling, it's to me it's an easy medium of communication with designer to designer, designers to engineers. Like you said before, we had a section. How is the section? Like this, da da da.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get a little bit lost in translation because you are moderated by the medium itself.
Yeah.
And AI, at the end of the day, is super quick. The quality is super high, but you need to be ready to prompt the right things. That takes time.
But again, Dario, I'm sure it happened to you when you are designing something or you are thinking, you're just sketching on a piece of paper. You reach a point of development into a design studio, and just before you launch it, another manufacturer will come with the same ideas, right?
Yeah.
So that's going back to your point, is you need to be quick because the market is extremely competitive these days. There are multiple design studios across the world. So when you're doing it or you're thinking it, most probably somebody else would already sketching it out. Yeah. It comes from you would say, why that idea that I got, I thought was only my idea, but somebody else is
It's like I'm hearing your thoughts here.
because we are influenced by what we see around. We are influenced by fashion. We are influenced by a rock star artist which is on the stage. We are influenced by product design. We are influenced by architecture, constantly bombarded by social medias. And as I will go through that in UK, you'd go through this Italy, he'll go through that when you're working in Paris. So that competition is there, and you have to be quick to respond to the market need before somebody else will take that place. That's how the speed is important in automotive design, in my view.
And Rafael, I had a feeling that you were pretty interested about understanding how the intuition playing the role of a designer, a design director, or anything to ask directly to Cosimo.
Of course, yeah. No, I guess going back to a bit of that, ego sort of, is it right or is it wrong? My question is, I think for all of us students, at the same myself as in colleagues, we struggle with this, idea. Sometimes we're starting a project, we like what we're doing, and then sometimes we get some feedback, and then we get a bit confused, and then you spend another week or whatever, however long, I don't like it, and then you go back and forth. But then at the end of it, when you go through the project, you realize that the first idea you had was great if you kept going on it, right? So I guess this question is for both of you, right? It's how long did it take for you to, understand your intuition and trust it, and say, okay, this is good, I'm going to stick with it, and not really let the noise from outside really block you from letting it come to that. You want to go first or I go first?
You go first.
I go first. Okay. So if this made sense.
Well, so I'll go one step at a time. So how do you know if your intuition is wrong or right? You don't know.
Okay.
How do you know that first idea was probably the best idea? It's because you're exploring something else. If you don't explore something else, you would never know, and you have nothing to compare your first idea with the ones after. And it can happen actually sometime the other way around, where your first idea is great, but then you keep working on it and you develop it and it evolve in something that. So I strongly believe that your first idea remain in also the sketches that you will do after, in a different shape, in a different form. But for example, we can wake up in the morning and we have this idea of this very sporty silhouette, which is lifted to the ground with big tires, etc. So that idea is there, right, to begin with. and you start sketching for it. And then you had your first styling, which you think, wow, that's good, strong, I want to develop it. And you should develop it. But in the meanwhile, keep exploring. Give yourself, that's what we do in our studios, man. Give yourself a deadline. Okay? You say, for the first phase, which is sketch, I want to give myself 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, I experiment as much as I can. At the end of the 2 weeks, you go back and you look all of the sketches, right? And you stick them all on the wall. And then you will see that maybe the first one was the best. Okay. But you will be able to see only because you explored something. And then you say, okay, now I spent 2 weeks in exploring. I got the intuition right. The forward is correct. That first or second or third sketch is the best. Now I develop it. So I don't look back and keep exploring at that point, because that's what happened very often with junior designers. They keep exploring at the wrong phase. They want to explore. After that, the car is pretty much done. No, so you explore at the beginning, then you take it to a level of resolution where is already a nice Photoshop renderings, and you will have probably variation of the same thing. You'll have 3 or 4, then you pick one, then bringing into the 3D file. It should be Alias or Calendar or whatever you're familiar with. And at that point, don't look back. At that point, don't look back. You are in the right place. You are in the right place, and you keep developing. Because otherwise, the process goes too far, goes too long, and that's confusing. But you keep it that much. So the blender needs to be ready 2 weeks after I've done the Photoshop. And after I want to mill the card, I want to see it on the clay physically to see how it works. Because they will probably make me uncomfortable. And then you go back to the blender. Create the process, trust yourself, but don't believe the first idea is the best until where you explore other areas.
Okay. It's just like a balance.
It's a balance because, as I said, if you don't fail, you don't succeed.
Right.
So it's good to go and explore other opportunities to then go back yourself and say, wow, that first intuition was still the best. Okay.
Well, I think that the judgment that a director is doing is also about the mission of a company and the vision they decided. In fact, I have one question that is, how do you judge a design based on how it will age after 5 years of real use?
Well, that is a very difficult question, Dario, because I think we're Italian, so I don't want to, What I'm trying to say is good design is good design.
Yeah.
And in my view, good design is potentially timeless. So I don't want to use that less is more, because it's not true. In some market, more is more. But the balancing on how many lines, how the surfaces evolve in a simple way, make the product timeless. I can talk about the Thari, which we did now in, I think, 3 years ago, or in August. And we launched the design with the idea that a specific product like the Thar, which is sort of off-road, will have to last into the market. So we kept it deliberately extremely clean. So on the bonnet, we didn't have any feature. It was just a very simple bonnet, very clean, very simplified design, very vertical windscreen, and very simple body set. There was only one theme, which was this line going around, and the rest was pure mechanic. So that specific design needed something like that, simple, to age in 6 hours, because we'll need to last in the market.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a usagetta. It's not something that you buy and you chuck it in the beam after 2 years. Right? It needs to stay, and you want that car to stay in the same family for 10 years, 15 years, and maybe becoming a classic. And there are some other products that deserve something a little bit more punchy, a little bit aggressive. And so it needs to be fresh, needs to be good, but maybe doesn't need to be that timeless, because you can imagine that young customer buying something else in 5 years and something else in 10 years. It's not that product that will stay forever in the family and will last forever into the automotive history design.
I see. But in fact, getting back to, let's say, students or young talents, in the beginning, you are kind of teaching how to move inside of a studio, also teaching how to approach to this business. So my question here is, how do you teach young designers to value long-term clarity and durability over instant visual impact?
Wow, this is a difficult one. So
We did our homeworks.
Yeah. So, I mean, teaching this. So, first of all, now in my position, I haven't got much time to sit side by side with the designers. And that also because it's very important that in the design studio, each one plays roles.
Yeah.
So, I have my chief designer, I have my team leaders, and they are the one most often spending time with the juniors. Having said that, I still like to bounce beside them, see what they're doing. And or sometimes they would come to me and ask me, Cosi, what do you think about that? How can I improve it? How can I make it better? And sometimes is going back to your question is about removing, is very rarely about adding.
Okay. Pure line as
That's what I was saying to some of my designers. You have two themes in one car. You can make two cars out of this, What is your main thing? And if they can see it, because again, going to your question, Rafael, sometimes when you are too much into your own space, into your own designings, you start loving a thing, you start evolving it, you start adding, you start losing the third eye kind of view, right? Your vision there. So there are designers that can see it and say, okay, I see, I want to do A, B, C, I lose C, D, E, F, G. And there are designers where you have to sit there and say, look, your main theme is this line which goes from the front of the back of the car. That's your theme. The way the surfaces evolves is great. You don't need another line below and another line below to support your design. You don't need that extra shape in the green that you're designing. These extra lamps, they're making it just busy. And because of that, would be not a timeless product. So drop,
okay.
drop. Stay focused to your main theme. A main theme is also, Dario, what makes the car recognizable. We have to think also what the customer would see. And the customer, as I said before, will not be able to say, oh, look at how that surface evolved. It's a customer that buy a car, but he will notice something. He won't know what, but he will remember. When he will see that car out of 360 cars that he will see every day, thousands of cars in India that he will see every day, you will memorize that specific thing and we make it memorable. And because of that, timeless.
Is it still common to have, I don't know if that's a thing you guys do a lot, by having maybe people from the outside come and kind of,
Clinic does.
judge, clean.
So when you have time, yes.
Okay.
When you have time, it's good. No, we do clinics. We do clinics more for the aspects of economics, functionality, and get more the feedback about the product. And of course, if something gets perceived wrong, for example, the egress, which is when you're swiping your head inside the car, is not great. You have to decide if you want to modify the hardware, or you think, well, maybe is character of the car that specific feature. So maybe the customer is not the happiest person in the world, but the car is standing out, out of so many cars around. In other cases, you say, well, actually, that's a fair comment. We need to assess it. We need to improve our design. So that is an ongoing process, I think, in all the design. Not design studio, but organizations. They're not coming design. They will always do it in different places.
Okay, Cosi, I would like to get back on to sharing more information for our students. So talking about young designer in the studio, the junior designers. So what do young designers in the studio most often misunderstand about decision making?
Well, I mean, it's always difficult to get a comment on your own design. Your own design is your baby, right, at the end of the day. And whoever will come and tell you, I'm not sure about that, need to change it, will not make you happy. Not at all. So when I was a chief, actually, I've been always quite direct as a person, in a good, polite way, but at the same time very friendly. You do it for their interest, by the way, not only for the business, because everybody at the end designed for a brand.
Definitely.
All of us, me, the junior, the seniors, the chiefs, my chief design officers, our CEO, everybody's working for the brand. So there is a level of trust which is important all the way down, of respecting the input that you're getting. And you will get that specific designer that is a little bit more stubborn, that think that you make it just to, as how can I say, make it just to piss him off, basically. It's not what I was trying to say. I was trying to say just to drag him down.
Yeah.
But that's never the case. You always do it to make a better product and let him improve his skills. How I do it, very often I'm just going through a presentation and we're all together and we share. And I ask also other designers, can you share your opinion? What do you think about that? You will have the friend which is more friend with the other, which would say is amazing. And you will have somebody that like the least, which would say, yeah, okay, that will happen. But eventually you are the man in between, right? The one that will have to put all together as a team, give a positive feedback to improve the design. And when you will have that guy that really doesn't want to do it, I was ending up doing myself. I never lose your skills as a designer at whatever level or position you would be in your career. So it happened multiple times that, for example, I knew what would have been right and what my brand wanted as a product. And I got a couple of designers or 3 designers which wouldn't go in that direction. They were forcing themselves to walk away. As far as you were trying to bring them back in the right place, they would keep doing what they thought was right. And clearly that wasn't right, because I also report to a manager, right? And it was clear that that was not what they wanted. So what I was ending up doing was doing it myself and chucking in the PowerPoint with the other designers' work.
I see.
And what was happening quite often was, oh, wow, that's really cool. Who did it? And I said, guys, this is what I've been asking you to do the last 3 months. I've done it myself. And then you get the respect also from the designers, right? Because the junior think that a manager is there just to charge and got an easy life, which is not the case.
Just skin in the game, we know about to
the job, and you still can show that you can do better than them.
Do you see the team readjusting after? I mean, at one time you get like, oh, guy, it's on our ass.
You read that probably 3 times in my career, no more than that. But it is always that tipping point where I'm trying to convince you of what was right. You clearly don't want to do it. I'm not going to complain. There's no point in keep coming back and telling you guys this is in the wrong direction. You have to go a block, you do it. And then somehow you reposition yourself and you get respect for what you do. And there's still a design. Okay, there's still a design. And at that point, people are like, great, actually you were right, this looks fantastic, we work on that. And then again, going to your first question, Dario, was not my design, was not his design. This is becoming a team design. I let it go. I'm not anymore involved in developing it. It's like now you guys take it up from there, make it even better. And that's what happened very often. They make it even better, They improve it, improve your idea, but it's going back where it was supposed to go as a design, as a product.
Okay.
Yeah, because probably you being there in the design studio, you get information from the chairman, you understand the vision, you see young talents working, and we go back to the intuition that you are able to mix up to come up with something that you know for sure is the right direction, is not completely coming from your idea, but it's a mix and match of the things that are going on in your surroundings. And this is maybe the talent of a design director, that having the skills, the understanding, but also the speed of execution altogether. And well, talking about intuition, now we go back to something more relied on practicality. So I would like to know a little bit more about the prototype, the testing of a prototype, because it happens that there is the creativity phase, then 3D modeling, testing, engineering, ergonomy, and then at some point you have a prototype. So when testing a prototype, what kind of a small annoyance instantly tells you a design has failed, or there is something that doesn't look great, and maybe you see the pictures that on the picture is not showing the design as you imagine it, is not powerful as you see it on real person. How do you tackle this situation?
Okay, so we have a process in Mahindra, but in many other design studios. Each one got a tailor-made for them, but you never arrive at the point of having pre-production cars with big failures. So, for example, we do clay, full-size exterior, then we do a see-through. We do an interior back, which shows basically ergonomically the space, your posture, and the block design to be right in terms of ingress, egress, the headroom you have, the posture of your steering wheel. And then slowly you arrive to the most important property that we do. We call it CDRM, which stands for Customer Design Reference Model. That model is looking like a real car. Honestly, is when you do that, I mean, you see really the designers like, wow. Nice. We do that sometimes. We've done it actually recently, where we showed the CDRM, which is the Customer Design Reference Model, and the production car beside. and people wouldn't see any difference.
Really?
The production car from the line,
Okay.
the
Okay.
retrievable one as well. Going to your point, that customer design reference model, Dario, is the one where you really want to make sure that everything is right. And we do it as a sign-off before going for tooling. So it's before our A-class. So that we still, it's already actually an A-class loop one, so it's already feasible. You know, you have already the return flange, you have all your, you know, A, B pillar, all the engineering is there already.
But you still have
But
more
it-
space to
You have
to
still,
maneuver.
correct, you
Okay.
still have some space to improve something.
Okay. I see. Okay.
And then could be that when you're getting into row 2 you bang your head, or could be that simply you think the space inside is not exactly as you expected. And that comes sometime to perception as well, because the CDRM is the first model where you do the full interior with the CMF specification. For you guys that don't know what CMF is whatever you see, whatever you touch, are the finishes, are the materials, are the fabrics, are the leathers, and that interior will be representative of what we envision that final car to be. So maybe you realize that actually that in dark interior, which in your renderings was super cool and amazing, it drags off all the light and makes the car feel very, very small. And then you change the color. You know, so that is really key for us. And then of course when you go to production, you will have some small bits and bobs, but it's late, no? The business already invested in tooling.
Yeah. No return. Point of not
Yeah.
not return.
Too late, right? The investment is done.
That seems that the process is so, there are so many checkpoints that it's, I would say almost impossible to fail, but there are so many steps that you can adjust. here and
Adjust.
there.
Yeah.
There will always be a level of failure in the sense that when you push a specific design, you want to make sure you're not making a Me Too projects. And that's where sometime in these days you guys realize in a design studio we'll have product planning, marketing. Very often you are benchmarking what is there today already.
Okay.
And the risk is to do a car which is a Me Too car. And that's so you have to push your boundaries a little bit to make something which is different.
Different.
So it's
Still.
that could be a rejection from the customers, Dario, but at the same time is very important that we make sure it's the right product.
And Cosimo, well, there are so many questions we would like to ask you to understand a little bit more what's going on during your daily life. And, you know, if you think back when you were a student and today you are a design director, so what activities you would have not imagined doing today? I mean, when you were students, you were trained to do great drawing and sketches and proposal. Now you're doing something that was even not in your checklist. Is there any fun facts?
That's a good point. Is the fun fact? Yes. So there are many I'm doing which I didn't even think I would have done. But one that I really enjoy is, for example, movie making. So we have now a department which is about 6 people.
Wow.
Where we do all the movies, all the visualization, right? Not only for external usage, but also internal usage. And I'm directly involved into the process of the making of it. Right?
Oh, cool.
And you think, you know, you're listening to a song while you're driving in the morning and you take inspiration from that and you can imagine how would that specific car that you are designing would fit in that music, would come, and the faces of the people that would be your buyer of your product or a specific mood that you want to transfer when you're presenting to your seniors. So we do the external movies, which are going very often for official launches, but also the one that we use for internal use, which are the one I enjoy the most. And we usually sit together in a room with, you know, who will be the editor and who will do, you know, the visualization side of it. And it's an open flow discussion. You know, we'll have a basic storyboard, which sometimes comes for a series of ideas of all of us together. We that I had that meeting.
You know, now it all makes sense because in the beginning we were talking about holistic design approach, integrating different activities, skills. Now you are saying that you're also taking care of these productions that it's really far from our skill set. So maybe something that I want to say as an educator is to integrate, to have this holistic approach also in your career or your studying, because it can give you a better understanding not only of what you are designing, but about the product and the launch. So the holistic design approach maybe can be the next big thing. the area to invest. Well, Cosimo, thank you very much. I have the last question. That is, you explain us your path from a student from Yad here in Turin till being today in London working for Mahindra as a design director. But when you look at your work today, what matters more to you, the final object or the way it was made?
So they're both very important, but I think the way that the object has been done is for me more important. Every single minute spent, the people, the faces, the emotion, the sharing of ideas, I think that is more important, and it's what we remain, you know. One day people will remember, well, I was with Cosi, we had that meeting around the clay, and we were discussing about that specific bonnet, how tall it should have been, and we really had a laugh. And after that, we went all out to get a beer together, you know. The memories for me are making the object. So in a way, they're both very important, because I strongly believe that if you don't enjoy while you're working, if you don't enjoy the moment, the product will not come out.
That makes sense, yeah.
The people will get the feeling, they don't know who made it, they don't know the background, but when you're enjoying what you're doing, the output is always better.
I see. Well, this is a great statement. So is the progress sharing moment with people that creates, is the secret formula, the secret sauce to create something timeless, probably.
And if you're not enjoying it, would you say just go on more? Go on more between the process?
But I think, look, if you don't enjoy, in all my career, when I reach a point I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, I'm always sitting with this.
Okay.
And I would strongly advise everybody to do it. Don't stay just because of your salary, just because of just stadiums. You enjoy what you're doing.
Okay.
And I think if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you will never become a director one day. It's very important, and enjoyment is very important to know that something is not right for you, which doesn't mean that you're leaving a place because it's wrong, something there. It's not matching with your expectation or what you want to be in this specific realm of your career, or your life, or your creativity. You you have to enjoy. You have to enjoy every day. There will be some up there down. It's a business at the end of the day, but as a pop, as an average, you really have to enjoy it.
Okay.
It's very important. Okay, awesome. Take note of that.
And Rafael, well, today you represent the students, car design students. Is there anything you would like to ask to Cosimo? Feel free to ask anything you want.
Oh, there's so many questions. So many questions have been asked.
But there's so many questions, so many more questions. But I think, I mean, for myself, and I guess for students, is it maybe this has been answered or not, but or the way you see the market go, because you're okay, you see things from a different view. Do you see it's still going in that very artistic way? It's still moving forward in a very artistic way, a very emotional way? Because I think as a lot of us as students, we join in we like the idea of the emotion that design entails. Do you see that will continue, especially with AI now? I know this whole mix and match, because there's always so many different opinions about that.
Well, I mean, I want to think of yes, which means I really want to think that you have to emotionally develop. You want to look at something, which doesn't mean we all had to design hypercar, you know. An emotion can come from a beautifully designed IP or steering. Could be coming from, a simple surface of a fender. Could be a product design oriented product in terms of car, and can be a very dynamic and very polarizing design as well. All of these are anyway coming to emotion, right? I think that's the only thing that will save us as designers, because AI will definitely keep going. How can I say? It will be used more and more in the industry, and what they will do would be a mix and match of what exists already to create a new crop. Okay, that's what happened basically with AI. And if we don't really come with some crazy idea, something innovative, then there's no place for us in the next 10 years. So they have to keep pushing the button. And then that's why you have the chance now to Rafa
to revolution the automotive industry. You know, you had that. It's in your hand. How, when, you will tell me. But again, work hard, keep believing in it, and quality is important, but ideas are as important as the quality. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's our PRC. Can we still be artistic, right? Can we still push? You have to, okay.
Push the boundaries. It's always easy to step back
Right.
because really you went a little too far. But if you don't go too far, you don't know that you have to step back. And, just keep pushing.
Thank you, cousin. It was well. Thank you. And good luck. Yeah. Thank you. We need a lot. Thank you. I learned a lot just in these however many minutes we're here. That was already a lot.
Don't forget, this is the first episode out of 6. Cosimo, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dario. It's always nice to see you, mate.
My pleasure, my friend. Rafael,
Thank you.
see you around.
It's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
Grazie. So next time my Italian will be a bit sharper. Maybe, yeah. Hopefully my English should be better. No, it's perfect. Don't worry.
Good luck and nice to meet you.
Well, see you next episode 2. Bye.